Hello, third and fourth grade. This week we are learning about repetition. That is one of the building blocks of art, and that means you take a shape or a line or an object and you repeat it over and over and over. Repeating, repetition. Hopefully you can see the connection there. You are going to pick a school supply item and trace around it. For example, here is a picture, it's so hard to center it, of some scissors. They actually were this little pair right here, and I positioned them in different ways of being open and traced around them over and over and over, and then colored them with crayons and markers. The areas where they overlap, I use different colors, and the areas where they don't overlap, I just colored them with silver, like the blades of the scissors would be. Okay, now the other one I did is with a popsicle stick. Now those of you that are working at home, I'm really struggling here. Those of you that are working at home, you probably don't have a popsicle stick. Maybe you do, but you could do a pencil, you could do a marker, you could do a ruler, you could use like a spoon in the kitchen or something. That would be really cool looking. But you're just going to trace it over and over and over. We'll outline it with markers, and then we'll color it in with a combination of crayons and markers. So you're going to need a piece of paper, your markers, and your crayons. So hit the pause button, get your supplies, and we'll meet back here. Okay, now starting out, I'm going to be using just a popsicle and my markers. But for those of you in the Virtual Academy and you're at home, you don't have to use a popsicle because most people don't have a popsicle stick at their house. You can use any school supplies. You could use a marker, you could use a pen, you could use a pair of scissors, you could use a ruler. To give you an example, I used a pair of scissors for this one. So it can be done with anything, okay? But for those of us that are up here at school, we're going to use a popsicle stick because Miss Thompson has a ton of them. And so we're going to take a marker. You're going to put the popsicle stick anywhere on your paper, hold it still, take a marker and trace around it. And hopefully you do have markers because we really want to use markers on this. And so there's one. Then I'm going to just randomly put it down anywhere else. I'm going to choose a different color every time we want to change colors and trace around it. Okay, again, put it down anywhere. You could even basically just drop it like I did. Change colors. Every time change colors. Make sure you trace all the way around. Okay? And so I'm going to keep doing that until I have used every color in my package of markers. So I am going to fast forward. Okay, so now I've used every marker I have at least once, with the exception of my blacks and my grays and my browns, because I want to stick with more the, the bright, cheery colors. So in fact, I'm just going to put those over to the side so they're kind of out of the way. All right, so now I've done every color at least once, but my paper is certainly not full. There's still a lot of empty space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back again and do every color a second time. All right, so let me fast forward for that. Okay, so now I've used every color in my marker box at least 2 times. And notice how I spread it out all over the paper. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a pair of scissors or a popsicle stick or a pencil, whatever it is, works the same. You trace around it. But one thing I do want you to notice is how some of them go off the paper. And I made them at all different angles, lots and lots of overlapping. Now I did every color twice, but I have a package of 16. If you have one of those traditional packs of just 8 or 10, you're probably going to need to do each color 3 times. because otherwise it would just look too empty. And then what you're going to do once you get to this point is you're going to take your crayons and you are going to color the spaces that overlap. So for example, this green one is overlapping this blue one, so I'm going to color this little section here where they overlap. And right now I'm just kind of grabbing colors out of my crayon box. I'm using the bright cheery colors. I'm avoiding the browns and grays and blacks. But if you want to use them, like the black would actually look kind of cool. I may actually include some of those because it adds nice contrast. So right here, see that kind of diamond looking? That's where the red and the orange overlap. And I could color that in. Now I wouldn't do too much of the black because it is a darker color, but you could do a splash of it here and there. For example, here's where 3 of them are overlapping, but I'm just going to do that little triangle portion because that's actually a different area, and I'd color it there. So if you don't really understand what I'm saying with the whole overlapping thing, then just think of them as shapes. For example, you have a shape right here, so you could color that. But where you have a popsicle stick just kind of sitting by itself, you don't have to color that part. So I could color this little part where yellow and green or yellow and teal overlap, but I don't have to color that part. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If not, just pick different sections and color them. Because again, that's another great thing about art, is there's no wrong answers. So I'm going to fast forward to finish coloring, and you can hit pause to finish coloring yours, and we'll meet back here. Okay, and there I colored all of the overlapping areas. Especially once you get going towards the end, it's kind of hard to see if you have them all, but I'm pretty sure I got all the overlapping areas. Now you could stop at this point and leave it like this, or you could go in and color some more. Like I'm almost thinking take the color marker I outlined it in, like I outlined this popsicle stick in orange. I could go take the parts that didn't overlap and color it in, and I think that would look really super cool. You don't have to do that. If you want to stop after coloring the overlapping parts, you can. This is one of those things where, oh look, there's an overlapping area I missed. So I'm going to pull a crayon out. That one's some kind of red. And you keep looking, you'll realize you missed some. And then I'll finish coloring that. So if you want to stop with the overlapping and the crayons, you can. If you want to try doing what I'm doing, you can. I'm going to fast forward and show you what it looks like if you do the popsicle sticks that are not overlapping with marker. Okay, so here's the final product with the marker on the non-overlapped popsicles, and I think it makes a huge difference. I highly recommend you do this as long as you color neatly, but obviously it's up to you because you're the artist and it is your picture, but you get to see it both ways, and of course you may have a different idea on how to color them. Okay, but please upload them for the virtual art show or email them to me. Either way is okay, whatever's easier for you. I want to have at least one piece of art for every single student in our school in the art show, or at least the one, you know, there's a few where we can't display your work, but as long as we can, I want one for each of you. And that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and have a great week.